Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about freight claims. So loss and damage freight claims, how are they governed, who files them, what do you need to file them, and really kind of the rules and principles around shipping and receiving freight as it relates to claims that'll hopefully help you through this process and give you some more information about the filing of freight claims. So what is a freight claim? So you are a receiver and you've received a shipment and it's either short. It could be all short, meaning none of the product showed up. It could be some of the product delivered short, and it could be damaged. Those are really the three largest things. You know, a full loss where freight shipped and carrier lost it and never to be found again. Damage or some type of shortage within the product. So who governs over claim filings? So there's a couple of different agencies. One is much of what you're going to find around the governing rules around claims are going to come from the Carmack Amendment. If you don't have a copy of this, get one. All you have to do is Google it and download it and get yourself familiar with it, because that is the governing law around most claims. It governs also the international piece, but there's other two that do as well. So if you're gonna carry goods in the ocean, chances are you also might see some rules from the Carriage of Goods by Sea Act. And then if it's air, it's the Montreal Convention of 1999. So really, you know, if you don't have those materials, Google them, download them, take a look at them, and make sure you understand them enough so that you have the rules around how this claim process works. The other governing body is the FMCSA. This was formerly the ICC. That's the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. And what they're going to do, and again, Google this 49 CFR Part 370, they developed the principles and rules around claim processing, claim filing. So make sure you're at least a little bit familiar with all of these. And it will really give you kind of the context around what the rules are around filing claims, and if you're responsible for the claim, how the claim should be filed. So the other thing that's important to understand the rules around is the timing of the claim. You know, you don't have forever to file a claim. So legally, if you are the responsible party for filing a claim, you have 9 months. You have 9 months from the date of delivery. To file that claim. Now the carrier, they have legally, based on all the governing laws, they have 30 days to acknowledge that they've received your claim. And from there, they have 120 days to settle the claim. The carrier has 120 days to settle the claim. However, lots of times claims are going to go longer than 120 days. So what needs to happen is if it extends over the 120 days and the shipper or the carrier or the person filing the claim, because sometimes it's not the shipper, if they are exceeding this 120 days, then the carrier must provide notification every 30 days. Every 60 days as to the status of that claim. So that's kind of the legal timing of the claim. Here's where it gets tricky. Let's say I'm a receiver, I bring in 3 pallets of freight, I sign the delivery receipt that I received those 3 pallets of freight, driver leaves, I start unpacking the freight and there's all kinds of damage. That's called concealed damage. And with concealed damage, you want to make sure you notify that carrier within 5 days of delivery that you had a concealed damage. Because in the carrier's mind, you file the claim within 9 months, they have a delivery receipt signed for that there was no damage noted. And we'll get into that a little bit too, as well as how to receive freight that is not in good condition, because it will impact your claims. So in any case, if you do have concealed damage, you do want to be thinking about that. Illegally, you have the 9 months to process the claim, but you want to notify that carrier within 5 business days of the date of delivery that you've reported concealed damage. And so who files claims, right? So the filing of the claim depends on the terms of sale. So the terms of sale, is gonna dictate who's gonna file that claim, right? Who owns the goods in transit? And so it could be FOB origin or FOB destination. And so what does that mean? So if it's FOB origin, the risk is on the buyer or the consignee, right? So that's the consignee, the person receiving this product under these terms of sales tends to be the company that's gonna pay the freight carrier, pay the freight charges. They own the product in transit, the consignee is gonna file the claim. For FOB destination, that's when the seller or the shipper is responsible for the goods in transit. So they own the goods in transit. If there's any claims that need to be filed, that's where your shipper is then gonna file the claim. So you wanna understand your terms of sale when it comes to claim filing. Now, let's say, again, you received in a shipment at destination and you signed for it damaged and you let the carrier go. You wanna make sure you understand your terms of sale, because if you're not responsible for that product in transit, you do wanna make sure the shipper files the claim. You're gonna have to help that shipper with the supporting documentation, but it really is on the person, based on the terms of sale, who owns the product in transit. Okay, so what do you need to complete and file a claim? You're gonna want to, one, have a claim form, right? Now there are standard claim forms out there that you can use, or you can have the carrier's claim form. Most carriers have their own standard claim form. You have a claim you need to file with a carrier, reach out to that carrier, get a copy of their claim form. The other thing you're gonna wanna provide is the bill of lading. And just so everyone's clear, the bill of lading is when the shipper turns the freight over to the carrier, they're turning over their bill of lading. And that's telling them where it's from, where it's to, what the product is, how much product is, what the terms are, who's gonna pay for the freight, freight classification, all that's on the bill of lading. And the driver signs that bill of lading along with the shipper. You're also gonna wanna provide the delivery receipt. So what's the delivery receipt? Now, if you're shipping a full truckload, chances are your bill of lading is also your delivery receipt. Truckload is, again, it's a full load of freight and one driver picks it up and the same driver delivers it and the same tractor and trailer. So the bill of lading becomes the delivery receipt, and there will be a signature for the receiver and again for the driver on receipt. And if there's any discrepancies, now's the time at delivery to note those discrepancies, whether it's damage, shortage, overage, whatever it may be. So then you need to provide paperwork to prove the dollar amount of the loss you're filing for, right? So you gotta prove to the carrier the loss. How much are you filing in that claim? So how do you do that? One is if you have a merchandise invoice on the cost of the product that you bought it for, you provide that with part of your claim. If you're in manufacturing though and you're making those products, you have to determine the cost of the loss of the product, and that's usually what you sold it for. So that has to go along with your claim. Now, we always recommend, and I think as an industry practice, everyone would recommend, when you submit this claim, you want to do it with a confirmed receipt. So if you're going to submit a claim via email, you want to, confirm receipt that the carrier acknowledges the claim has been received. If you're going to send it in the mail, you want to send it certified mail where the carrier has to sign confirmation of receipt, or you send it in an express environment so that you can get confirmed receipt of the claim. Because remember, timing is important. So they confirm they received the claim as a carrier, they now have so many days to acknowledge, file, settle, pay that claim. So really important when you're filing claims that you are doing it in a fashion you can get confirmation from the carrier on the receipt of your claim. So as we talk about claims, it's also really important, we always tend to end up back in talking about freight operations, but it's It's really important when you start talking about shipments that delivered with discrepancies, because if you haven't followed the right practices and you file that claim, it could very well get denied. It used to be everyone just blamed the carriers for any type of damage or loss of a shipment, and they got really smart about measuring freight through their system. They're now taking pictures of freight moving through the system. The carriers are checking freight in and out of terminals or at any stop and doing checks on the freight to make sure it's still all there, it's still all intact, and it's not damaged. And because of that, and because of the technology that's been brought into our industry, you can't just blame carriers anymore. They are going to scorecard you as well as you're scorecarding them. So what does that mean? When you're preparing a shipment and you're executing your bill of lading with the shipper, here's a lot of things that come up in claims that people get tripped up with and claims get denied. Shortages. So shipper comes and picks up 2 pallets, and I know you guys have seen me draw way too many pallets if you're watching our whiteboard series, but I think I'm getting better at it. But let's just say you have a shrink wrap pallet, and what you can see on this one side is there's 6 boxes on this one side, right? And then let's say it goes, 3 deep. So that means you have another 6 boxes. And so what happens is, let's say this pallet was a total of 36 cases. And the driver comes to pick up that product. You have your bill of lading, right? Your bill of lading says this is 36 cases on 1 skid, and it weighs 500 pounds, and it's widgets. Okay? Now, the driver, so your bill of lading kind of looks like this, and it's where it's from, where it's going to. It's the 36 cases on 1 skid, with the description of the product and the weight. And down here are some signature lines, right? And so the shipper's gonna sign it and the driver's gonna sign it. But this is a shrink wrap pallet. It's got 36 cases on it, but you visibly can't count the 36 cases because the ones are in the middle, the driver visibly can't see. So he's not signing 36 cases. He's gonna say, or she, so let's say I'm Jill the driver, I'm gonna sign this bill of lading, and I'm gonna say, it's 1 skid said to contain 36 cases. This is really important. So I signed 1 skid said to contain 36 cases, and then Courtney, the shipper, she signs, and off that freight moves. Well, it shows up at the receiver, and the receiver makes the driver wait while he breaks down the pallet, or she breaks down the pallet, counts the boxes and says, uh-oh, there's only 33. So I'm short 3 cases. I'm gonna file a claim with the carrier. I sign the delivery receipt, which again, in some cases could be the bill of lading if it's full truckload, and if it's not, there's the carrier, let's say it's Saya, they'll generate a delivery POD based on the bill of lading. They all kind of look the same. There's some barcodes on here though for Saya to track the pro number, right? And now I'm the receiver and I'm saying I signed 33 cases with my name, and I'm actually notating 3 short. And I think, all good. I counted, the driver was there, I'm 3 cases short. I send in my paperwork, I send in the delivery receipt, and this bill of lading, the driver signed said to contain, which means the carrier is legally not responsible for those 3 short cases. They couldn't see them, they couldn't count them, they're not gonna take ownership and sign for cases. So be very careful if you want carriers to sign for cases and you want to avoid this said to contain. You need to tell them as you're putting your programs together with the carriers and negotiating your pricing. It's really important because this claim would never be honored. Same holds true for damage. Driver shows up and there's a damage and the receiver doesn't sign damage, nor does the driver acknowledge damage on the POD. You won't get paid on that claim. You can fight the concealed damage. Concealed damage is still a thing. You can report it within 5 days that there was concealed damage, but they don't always honor it 100% because remember now, with all this technology, the carriers actually have the ability to go look and see how freight has checked in. Some cases they're taking pictures, so they can follow the path of that shipment to see if they had the damage or if the damage happened at pickup and or delivery. Sometimes, believe it or not, damages can occur on a dock. Freight falls off the pallet after the driver brings it in, and then they're going to try to report it on the carrier. So these things are really important. Receiving product that's damaged. You know, sometimes you'll get the driver won't wait. He's not going to wait for me to inspect this damage, or she will not wait for me to inspect this damage. At that point, you really want to stop and have your driver call their dispatch office and say, look, these folks think there's some damage here. They need me to wait while they go through the damage so we can sign the proof of delivery that way to make sure that the notation is made so that, again, on the back end, the claim will be honored. So that's really it on claims. Please feel free to reach out to us if you want to hear any more about it or you have any questions. As usual, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Jill Clifford. You can find us on LinkedIn, Aborn & Company. Hit our website and hit our Contact Us page as well.